Hey everyone, so today we're talking about settling a dog into a new home, and this really does apply to be it puppies, rescue dogs, even a dog that you're just looking after for a little while and bringing into your home, because effectively what you're doing is changing their environment, and the goal is to make them feel safe and comfortable. This is something that I think gets overlooked a lot all the time when we bring a dog into a new place. If we focus on settling them down and making them comfortable before making it all fun and games and hyperactivity, then we set ourselves up for a win in the long run. Now in this chat we are going to focus on rescue dogs and puppies, but remember this still can apply to dogs that you're bringing into your home to look after as well. Now the idea with bringing these dogs in is that we're going to have them in our life for a long time. And so what I see people do all the time is set them up to fail by us literally and figuratively asking them to run before they can walk. They assume that because they know that they are bringing them into a safe home environment where they're going to be loved, that the dog assumes this as well. And it's not the case. Change and anything new to a dog will be perceived as a threat until they can be sure otherwise. And so let's take our time and make them feel safe and comfortable. For me, that's what a happy dog really is a dog that feels so safe and comfortable in his own skin that he can drop his guard and relax. And from there, you've got solid foundations that you can do whatever you want with your dog because he just takes it all in his stride. What a beautiful thing that is. And it's nice and simple. Start off slow, build the tolerance up gradually to the things that we have planned for them in their lives, and go at their pace. Now it's okay to absolutely have in mind what you would like to do with your dog. That's a brilliant thing to do, but at the same time we must listen to our dogs and their tolerance levels of those things. So like I say, because they don't have theory of mind, going over to something and showing the dog that it's not a threat is not going to work. That is stupid ass shit that you see idiot dog trainers do that is outdated and completely pointless. It's about listening to the dog and their stress levels. And so as we expose them to everything, we'll just go at a pace where they grow their world gradually and they learn to just really enjoy the things that we expose them to by building calm and positive associations. We put emphasis on this because the dog has just gone into a new environment. But also, let's look at what's happened previously. If it's a puppy, it's been ripped away from its mother and litter mates and everything it knew, and in this country potentially put on a plane, or just travelled a long journey and then thrown in the deep end. Let's look at it from the puppy's point of view. That's a lot of change and will of course a lot of stress. With a rescue dog, for example, though, it's left the home. It may have lived in a foster home or a shelter, and even if it was showered by love every day, it's still a lot of information. I've worked in shelters, and there is a lot going on there. There's a lot of noise, a lot of activity, and it's a hell of a lot of information to deal with every day. It's pretty exhausting. And let's look at the fundamentals of, how dogs feel comfortable and safe, and that's through predictable information. Once you have familiarise yourself with information, then you start to be able to predict what's going to happen, and then you feel comfortable. Change brings stress. It's that simple. So, having already been through stress and knowing that our dogs are now going to go through prolonged stress because it's going to be introduced to new things every day, this is why we really do emphasise calm first approach. It takes around 3 months, roughly, for a dog to learn home is home. And by that I mean, dogs have got a very strong cyclical memory and they learn patterns. They're always trying to predict what's going to happen next. And 3 months is 12 weeks. Imagine a working week of 5 working days and then suddenly everyone's home. I can't predict what's going to happen. So it goes through that cycle 12 times. And by then the dog's starting to learn the human activity level. Let's take other things into play, like neighbours passing by. Now dogs don't understand footpaths, and so every time a dog or a neighbour walks past, they're going to go, oh shit, that's somebody new. Why are they in my environment? Maybe the mailman turns up on a motorbike every day. He doesn't know that the mailman's not a threat. He doesn't understand social etiquette the way we do. So the dog starts to go, oh my God, all of these things are happening in my life, and this is what I mean by constant change. Things that we take for granted we live in a very human world and we become okay with it, but our dogs are never going to perceive and never going to have the same understanding that we have of the human world. So they're anticipating change and danger all the time. And so in those first 3 months, baseline is calm. If you're noticing barking outside, that's the dog saying, I found something stressful outside. If you notice constant pacing and agitation, chances are it's not got full of beans and full of energy. It's probably agitated and doesn't know how to settle and relax in its home environment. So we use things like sleep and chewing as a gauge into the dog's, a window into the dog's mind. If in order to eat, pee, poo, sleep, drink, sniff and chew, the dog has to, they're all calm behaviours, and in order to complete those calm behaviours, the dog has to relax and drop its guard. And in order to drop its guard, it has to trust its environment. So if your dog is hiding to go to the toilet, if your dog is burying things that you give it for to chew, or walking around whining, if your dog isn't sleeping very well, they need 18 hours a day, by the way. That's 75%. That means they're only meant to be awake for 6. And if your dog's not getting it, you're not meeting their fundamental needs. Sniffing drains energy, but if we're seeing a dog hypervigilant all the time, if we're seeing the dog barking, then these are the signs that our dog actually doesn't feel that comfortable in the environment. And that's our baseline. Like I say, this is our foundation that we build everything else on. And yet when we get a dog, we often neglect that. We often forget all about that sort of thing because we're so caught up on introducing it to our friends, introducing it to new dogs at the dog park, introducing it to all of these big, wide, world things that are really exciting, but the dog isn't ready. And if you take your dog out that is already carrying stress and already guarded and already I have no idea where I'm coming or going, mate, it's not going to be very social. And so this is what I go back to. We ask them to run before they can walk. It's a really simple philosophy, guys, but if we actually put emphasis on this, then we set ourselves up for a win in the long run. And we're going to have a long time to take our dog to the beach, take our dog to other dogs. When I got my dog, I got him from Sydney Dogs and Cats Home. And look, he'd been through the mill. God knows what happened to him, but he was almost bald at his back end from flea bites and he was found on the streets. He just had an operation, so he was in physical pain because he'd had 13 teeth out. His liver and kidneys were not working very well whatsoever. Now, like I say, he's an extreme example, but I took him, I think, for 5 walks total in the first 3 weeks because walking was not on the agenda. Yes, he was agitated and walking around the apartment. That's not because he was an energetic dog. It's because he didn't know how to settle and didn't know how to relax in the home environment. And whenever I did introduce him to the world, he was a very nice dog. He had no malice in him whatsoever, but he's showing signs of hypervigilance. So he's showing me signs of stress. So I'd go, right, okay, that's probably all you can do. And I would let him recover because I didn't want to overexpose him. Now I've got the world's easiest dog. He falls asleep absolutely anywhere. And as soon as I let the leash off, and as soon as I say, go on, mate, off you go, he goes and has a great time. He's not the world's fastest dog, but, he's an old man. But what I'm getting at, guys, is by taking the time to introduce him to the home environment, encourage calm activities, independent behaviours as well, not all of his affection and self-rewarding stuff came from me. I let him go off and chew, let him go and be a dog, so that not every single reward came from me. But we'll go on to attention seeking and separation issues in the future. But I made sure that he could do the eat, pee, poo, sleep, drink, sniff, chew independently, calmly, and was fully relaxed before I went out and socialised him. That was my foundation for creating a great life with my dog. Hope you learned something today, guys. Leave your comments below. Love your feedback, and have a great day.